Oh, da 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 da. I die, oh, die, oh, die, Any night, yeah, Sing with us wherever you are. Oh, 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 oh. You didn't know. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vow 1,000 times. Come, come again. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again, and come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, come again, and come, come, whoever Please rise in whatever ways you are able. Zadua Latzadi Ule Yishrei Lev Simcha Or Zadua Latzadi Ule Yishrei Lev Simcha Ay, 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 for with you is the source of life, and in your life we see life. For with you is the source of life. For in you is the source of life. For in you is the source of life. In your life we see life. Zarua, Latzadi, Ole Yishrei, Simcha. Ay, ay, כל חיים, כי יראך מכל חיים באור חיים. כי יראך מכל חיים, כי יראך מכל חיים, כי יראך מכל חיים, ובאורך נראו. On page 5, everyone. מישיבה של מעלה ומישיבה של מטה על דס המקום ועל דס הקהל אנו מתירים נסבלל עם עבר יונים.
With the authority of the divine court on high, and with the authority of the earthly court below, with agreement by God and this holy congregation, we permit all to pray with those who have sinned.
Yeshiva shel mala, Yeshiva shel mata, Das hamakom, Yal das hakahal, Anu matirin.
להתפלל עם אביונים. Nidre ויסרה וחרמה וקונמה וכינויה וכינוסי ושבו דין דרנה על נפש הסונה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום הכיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה ולכון איחרת נבחון ולהון יהון שרן שבייקין שבייסין ותהל מבוטדין Shevi sin Shevi V'teinenu mevutadin L'asherin V'in l'kayamin Nidre lo Nidre V'yesarana lo yesarei Nidre v'yesarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinoyei v'kinosei Darna unishtabana uneacharinna unyasarena al nafsha Yom Kippurim ezeh ad Yom Kippurim haba aleinu am letova Icharatna v'hon Kunahon yihon sharan Shevi yakin Shevi yisin V'teinen mevutadin Shevi yisin Shevi yakin Lashriyerin V'nakayamin Nineramna Na Nidre V'yesarana Lo esare Oshavasana Lashevo Nidre v'yesarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinoyei v'kinosei U'shevo sarna Negish tabana Ude akhari yemna Ude asarna Al nafsha sarna Yom Kippurim Ane Yom Kippurim Hamaleanu Netova Kulachon Icharatna v'chon Kunachon Yichon Sharan Shemi Yesim Shemi Yikim Metegnien Mevutadin Shemi Yesim Shemi Metegnien Mevutadin La Sheririn Villa Kayamin Nidre Nidre Yesarana Lo Esare O Shavasana La Shavas V'nislach L'chol adat B'nei Yisrael ולגר גר בתוך העם כי לכל העם בישגה לחנם, לעוון המזה כגודל חסדך, ואיך שנשאת על העם הזה ממצרים ידענה, ושם נאמר.
ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי
On the bottom of page 5, every year we remind ourselves that Rav Soloveitchik said that this Amen is the highest point of the year. To say Amen to the Shechrianu on Yom Kippur. So let's say this Amen like the first time. Baruch Chatan Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. I can say that on behalf of my wife, that it isn't often that I welcome people with tears. Welcome and see me cry. Only on Yom Kippur. Just arriving. Just sitting in the space together. Shechiyanu v'kimanu. So moving. And even though I can't see all of your faces, I see your eyes. And I see these eyes in the Zoomagog, in the Roomagog. Some of you might be here for the first time tonight. Whether you're here in the sanctuary for the first time, you're here for the first time in Zoom, from wherever you've joined us, we welcome you. We said as we began the service tonight, come, come, whoever you are, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Yom Kippur is the great refuge. I've always marveled at its remarkable capacity to bring people out. Certainly surpasses even the liberation holiday of Pesach in its capacity to fill the pews. I always wondered about that, and of course, On one level, the truth is that the ominous nature of Yom Kippur, its heaviness, its drones and its music and all of the tenor of the day invite maybe fear, maybe a sense of dread. But what I think is really true is that the reason people come for Yom Kippur is because we need Yom Kippur. Not because Yom Kippur scares us, but Yom Kippur invites us. Yom Kippur invites us into a moment of perspective taking. Yom Kippur invites us to put things that we normally place at the center, at the periphery, and to place those things that are normally at the periphery into the center. Yom Kippur is the best holiday of the year. Friends, know that when Yom Kippur begins, I can't wait to be over, and when it's over, I never want it to end. By the time we reach tomorrow afternoon, somewhere between 3 and 4, not precisely telling you exactly the moment, there's a sense that we as humans might experience, we might have a glimpse of the collective power of a group of people who gather together to hold one another, to give one another permission to grieve, to cry, to remorse, to dream, to revitalize, to rejuvenize, to remember. And somewhere between 3 and 4, I always think to myself, I wish Yom Kippur came once a quarter. It would be a tune-up. That way we wouldn't have to wait all year to do this. Somewhere tomorrow, I hope that you'll have a glimpse into the profound, trans-temporal, the trans-everything nature of Yom Kippur. A day to be transported, a day to be lifted up, a day to be transformed. So who are we here tonight? We used to have a little thing that we did at Romemu a couple of years ago where we would stand here and say, who are we tonight? Some of us are here as atheists and agnostics. Some of us here have traditional God views. Some of us here are here for the music. Some of us are here because where else would you be? Some of us are here because our friends invited us. Some of us are here. But this year, I just want to say, some of us are here because we opened the doors. Some of us are here because having another Yom Kippur without feeling your neighbor, without hearing their voice, was absolutely incomprehensible. And so I'm hoping that you will lean in and listen. I'm hoping that during the time when we are masked, we are not boundaried from each other in that way. That even if we can't see one another's faces, we can hear each other's sobs and songs. That we can feel one another's yearnings and longings. That even as we have our masks on, we don't have our hearts covered. And I'm hoping that all of you, yes, you, I'm hoping that you have created a space where you are to allow the power that is being generated here in this room to reach you, and that you will send that light back to us as well in your participation, in your presence, in your being there while we're here. I'll keep looking here. I promise to call out as many of you as possible during the service, so you never know. Be careful. I'm watching. The great poet Marcia Falk brings us into our Mariv tonight. Teach me to forgive. Master of pardonings, Adon HaSlichot, teach me to forgive myself, to forgive you, to forgive those who have hurt me in the name of ignorance, mindlessness, certainty, rigidity, even righteousness and justice, even love. To forgive the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, to forgive nature, human and otherwise, personal and impersonal, majestic and petty, to forgive death, to forgive you, to forgive myself, to forgive it all so that it may open to life, living and dying as it is, flowing through me, carrying it all along, a great river of living and dying, a mighty stream of birthing and dying, a towering wave of living and dying. Holy, merciful one, Baal HaRachamim, teach me to forgive. I invite you to rise if you are able. That prepare us for Shema, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. May all of our transitions this year be with ease. May we move from dark to light and light to dark with a gentle, tender touch on the bottom of page 9.
אל חי וקיים, תמיד למלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבי.
Amen. On page 10, Avat Olam. Beit Yisrael Mechat Oto Lison. כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובכם נגע יומם ולילה ועבדך תעשי ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה
ברוך הוא ברוך שמו אוהב עמו ישראל.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchusam Leolam Va'ed.
ואהבת
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך
ובכל מאודיך
והיו הדברים
האלה
אשר אנוכי מצווך היום.
על לבביך
page 11.
ושיננתם לבניך
ודיברת בם בשבתך
בביתך
ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך
ובשעריך.
We continue in the second paragraph on page 12 in your Machzor, remembering that every action has consequences. Choose wisely, we will reap what we sow. So sow love, sow intention, sow compassion, sow goodness, sow kindness, so that we might reap those things and bring heavenly days right here on earth. Top of page 13, למען יבואו ימיכם ימי בניכם, על האדמה שנשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת לכם, כי ימי השמיים על הארץ. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם יעשו להם ציצית. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים עמכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. turn to page 14, the bottom of the page. Twice a day, we remember the song of the sea and the remarkable joy that it produced. And even if Jacob and others were not there to see it, we still pray for generations to come that we might also bring about a more liberated world for them in the future, that they too might sing a song of freedom, of wonder and surprise.
Takneinu Be'etzah Tova milfanecha Ve'hoshi'enu Leman Shemecha Ve'hoshi'enu Leman Shemecha.
Ushmor Tzeiseinu Voeinu Lechayim Ulshalom Yata V'yad Olam Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Baruch Ata Adonai
Haporei Sukat Shalom.
Al Yakolamo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim
Amen.
Please rise in whatever way you are able. On page 17, the special verse in honor of Yom Kippur, Kiva Yom Hazeh. Chatzi Kaddish on page 18. Yiskadal Yiskadash Shemerabah Alema Divrachim Usei Ve'yamelich Malechut Usei Bechayichon Uvyomeichon Umechayichon Beis Yisrael V'agala u'izman koriv V'imeru Amen Yehi Shmeira b'mevorach Le'alam Yolmei al-mayot Yisparach v'yishtabach V'yispa'ar v'yisromam v'yisnasei V'yishadar v'yisalev v'yisalal Shemei de Kudesha Leila Uleila Mine kol mirchasa v'shirasam Tushbechasa v'nechemasa da'amiran be'alama in bimiru.
Amen.
Silent Amidah on page 19, on page 31 through 49. 31 through 49. So we take these moments for reflection, the recitation of the words of our ancestors, or your own words that you can find not in the Machzor but in your own heart. Please rise if you're able. On page 53, the ark is open. Ya'aleh.
ויבוא שבת עשינו מערב, ויבוא למענו מבוקר.
יעלה דווקנו מערב, יבוא גילנו מבוקר, ויראה בקשתנו עד ערב.
זכרנו מערב, יבוא וידוענו מבוקר.
ויבוא אליך מבוקר. On page 55, this beautiful image, which is really a recurring theme, not just the broken vessel, but the vessel itself. Imagining clay in the hand of a potter, we surrender. מיין היוצר ברצותו מרחיב ומרצותו מקצר כן אנחנו ידך אעשינו עוצר לבריס הבית תפן ליצר כי הנה כאן אבן וינמסתס מרצון אוחז ומרצון מחדש כן אנחנו בידך מחייב גרזן מיד החרש מרצון ניבק לאור ומרצון פירש כן אנחנו ידך תומך אני ברש לברית ועל הדפן ליצר כי הנה חרגת ביד המלך ches umir so shilach kein anachnu el tov esal la bli esabet yalde la yetse ki hinay kizuchis meyanda misagay so chogeg umirtso mimogeg kein anachnu ma'avir zatzon deshegeg labris me'aletei bechad hakinei kayeriyah Yad HaRokem Mirtzoso me'Hashem Umirtzoso me'Hakem Kei anachnu beyadcha Echareinu Labnizabeh Yaladei Kesef biyad hatzoref Mirtzoso misagesei Umirtzoso mitzaref Ein anachnu beyadcha Mamsir lemazor teret Labris abek Yalateshen Nayen On page 56, in the middle of the page, the 13 qualities, names of divine love and mercy, Adonai, Adonai.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Nosei Avon ba'pesha v'chata.
Page 57. Shema kolegenu Adonai Eloheinu Chos rachem aleinu V'kaber b'rachamim ורצון אסתפילוסנו.
שמע קולנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חוס וחל עלינו, וקבל ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו.
השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם. השיבנו page 60 in your mahzor. Eloheinu v'le'avoteinu v'imoteinu, slach lanu, michal lanu, kapel lanu. Anu vaneka eta avinu anu avadeka eta doneinu anu eta chelkeinu anu nagarateka eta goneinu anu soneka anu karmeka eta notneinu anu eta yotzek no segulateka eta krovenu anu eta meka eta eluenu anu mamineka eta maminenu. We are your people, you are our God. We are your children, and you are loving parent. We are your servants, and you are only master. We are your congregation, and you are our leader. We are your estate, and you are our trustee. We are your, and you are our shepherd. We are your handiwork. You are our gardener. We are your handiwork, and you are our king. Oh, we are your faithful. You are our beloved. We are your treasure, and you are guardian. We are your subjects, and you are ruling. We are chosen, and you are chosen one. Manu azepanim yata rachum mechanun, anu kshe'oref yata erech havayim. Anu mlei avavetam lerachamim, anu yomenu kitzel over, v'yatachu ushnosecha lo yitachamu. Eloheinu levotenu v'motenu, תבוא למנכת ונעשה למייתי, תלם ונכנסנו, שאין אנחנו עזי פנים, וכשעורף לא מלא ודחם, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו אבותינו ואמותינו, חטאנו. So think of this moment here as we rise for the Ashamnu as a spiritual defibrillator. Just getting the heart, just a little tap, you know. Kol dodi dofek, the loved one says, hey, wake up, wake up. Let's rise for the Ashamnu. And the melody of triumph that the Baal Shem Tov said is a recognition of the work to do and the confidence that we have that we can do it. Ashamnu, Agadnu, Gazalnu, Ibanu Dofi, Hevinu, Veirshanu, Zadnu, Ramasnu, Tafalnu Shaker, Adalayla. תיעבנו, טעינו, תיתנו, יא נה 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 יא נה נה. The great chief rabbi of pre-mandate Palestine, the wonderful Rabbi Abraham Isaac Cook, wrote that just as we enumerate all of the things on Yom Kippur that we have fallen, have made mistakes, the places that we have slipped, the places that we wish we would have done differently, so too he wrote in one of his commentaries on the Talmud that we should also enumerate the things that we did right. He called it the vidui hamashlim, the more complete confession that includes both the things that we need to reflect upon and the things we need to elevate and multiply. On the screen in front of you, you can, some of you, let's go, I'll do the Hebrew, everybody here go in the English, okay? Ahavnu, we have loved our fellow human beings. Bachinu, gamalnu chesed, dibarnu yofi, hemanu, vishtadalnu, zacharnu, chibachnu, ta'amnu sefer. We have created new paths to righteousness. We have yearned for Zion. We have fought for justice. We have taken full advantage of all that is good. We have tried our best. We have not averted our eyes. We have acted in accordance with your will. We have shared our wealth with others. We have been right, but just sometimes. We have called on you for assistance. We have desired to do what's right. We have rejoiced in all our blessings. We have supported those in need of support. As we make our turn to page 65. Al chait shechadanu v'necha v'yones v'ratzon, al chait shechadanu v'necha v'imutz halev, al chait shechadanu v'necha b'lidat, al chait shechadanu v'necha b'gilui sfatayim, al chait shechadanu v'necha b'gilui arayot, al chait shechadanu v'necha b'galui v'sater, al chait shechadanu v'necha b'vidat v'mirma, al chait shechadanu v'necha b'dipur peh, al chait shechadanu v'necha b'hona'at re'ah, al chait shechadanu v'necha b'harhor halev. For the ways that I missed the mark by speaking foolishly, those places that I did things consciously and unconsciously by making false promises and not following through, by taking bribes, allowing myself to be bribed. For gossiping, spreading lies, consumption. On page 67. For all of these sins, loving source, may we find forgiveness, ask for forgiveness, and grant forgiveness. for these sins, missing the mark. I want to apologize to everyone here if I did anything wrong this year that hurt you. I want to apologize to each and every one of you as a leader if I failed to lead. I want to apologize to my family and to all of those that I might have missed the mark with, especially those that I did it unintentionally to. And so many of us here have the courage to say that to someone. I'm sorry. We're sorry. We could do a little bit better. As the ark is open, we say, Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu. Inlanu melech elat. Chtai levanecha, Avinu Malkeinu. Inlanu melech elat. Avinu Malkeinu, say manu l'ma'an shemech. Avinu Malkeinu. Chadesh aleinu shana tova. Avinu Malkeinu, batil me'aleinu kol gezerot kashot. Avinu Malkeinu, batil me'alek shalot zorneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, aver tzad oiveinu. Avinu. Galei kol tzar u'mastni aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu. Kalei dever v'chera, Moshe Moshe ve'avon u'shmad b'bnei b'itecha. Avinu Malkeinu, slach u'mechalach v'lavonoteinu. Avinu Malkeinu, loving source, compassionate one. Chivah v'shaloch v'negdig. Chazinu b'tshuva shleima levanech. Avinu Malkeinu, shlach refuah shleima lecholei amecha. Avinu Malkeinu, imenu malkatenu zachreinu, v'zikaron tov lefanech. Karbeinu b'sefer zichurot. Avinu Malkeinu, on page 73. Yatzmach lanu yeshu'a v'karov. Avinu Malkeinu, chamol aleinu ya'ol aleinu v'tafeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, aseh l'man va'eshu v'mayim al kiddush shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, aseh l'ma'anecha, im lo l'ma'anenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu b'aneinu, ki en banu ma'asim.
may be seated, everyone. It's an honor for me at this moment, a sacred moment, to invite my friend and one of the members of our board to come to the Bima and to think together with us about something very important. Beloved Jonathan Fassberg.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shana Tova. Great to see everyone. I'm so inspired, it's hard to get my breath, but I'll do my best. I'm a new board member, and feels like it was just yesterday when I wandered into Romemu about 4 years ago. Not even sure it was a synagogue. The cross on the stained glass outside makes entry a little confusing. But nevertheless, I wandered in, and the warmth of the music, right when I entered, really entered my soul, and I knew I was home. For the first few weeks, I sat alone in the corner, or sometimes I hid behind the piano with my son Simon to just take it all in. The prayers held me during a very tough moment in my life, and at a time when I felt the world, my world, had come apart. I experienced a warmth and joy of Judaism that I had never known in the synagogue. I was going through a difficult divorce, trying to deal with my own broken heart while also trying to stay close as possible to my 13-year-old son and my not-so-little girls, ages 18 and 21. If you've ever been there or known anyone who has, you know that this is not a clear or well-established path. I wept at every service. Rabbi David's sermons often seemed to be directed at me personally and often filled me with a glimmer of hope that my heart could mend. I feel immense gratitude for what Romemu has created and the comfort it has brought to my life and the life of my family. And so I'm standing here before you tonight to ask you to support Romemu, which may be only thing harder than trying to get my daughters to text me back when I text them. If you're like me as a child on the way home from shul after Kol Nidre, you heard your parents discussing the merits of the rabbi's sermon and the post-game Goldilocks discussion of the appeal speech. A little too hot, a little too cold, never just right. My father, who I bring to services here on occasion, and maybe some of you had seen, donated to our shul when I was a kid. But I never understood his motivation. Was it because his father gave? Was it because he wanted to get a nice wink from God? Was it 1 time chai, 2 times chai, 3 times chai? Because he had a great year at work, or because he wanted to have a better upcoming year? Giving is a complicated thing, and asking for money is even more complicated. What can I say to you that won't sound trite or make you stare at your shoes or continue to delete emails when Romemu asks for support? So I'll just say it simply. Membership dues at Romemu shockingly only cover 20% of the cost to run the organization. Tonight, I'm hoping you will all join me in helping to properly fund the rest so the team at Romemu can continue to serve and work with us without always wondering where the next dollar comes from. And costs, sadly, have dramatically increased after the pandemic, as Romemu strives to serve both an online, I don't know where to look here, but online, and in-person membership. I'd like to ask you to join me in funding things you love at Romemu, and let's overfund them this year. We can do it with 100% participation in giving. I'm told that in the last few years, about 25% of attendees, only 25% gave at the Kol Nidre appeal. Let's bring that number up. Let's bring abundance to the music at Romemu. Let's bring abundance to Rabbi Mira and the community kitchen and feeding the hungry men and women and children right at our door on 105 in Amsterdam. Let's overfund and find solutions to technology challenges that face our Zoomagog community. We now have over 150 global members joining us online. We'll get there. No, thank you. Over 30% of our members also receive Ezra, help to cover their membership dues, course tuition, and other expenses. Can we help to subsidize those who need assistance? Inspired by education, you can sponsor a day or a week or a month of your favorite class in honor of a birthday or yahrzeit, or simply to show appreciation for a teacher. How amazing. Or give a student a scholarship to seekers. If there's something else or someone at Romemu that you especially love, ask to sponsor that. For heaven's sake, if you want a swimming pool at the top of the Romemu Center, come speak to me. We will make it happen. But find something, anything that is especially meaningful to you, and make a donation. Now the details. It ain't so easy. In a minute, we're going to take 3 minutes to give you time to consider how you would like to step in tonight for 100% participation. For those of you in the room, take your pledge card and fold down a tab and pass your card to the end of the aisle. To make a general donation, I thought I wrote generous donation, just select that tab. To sponsor something specific, fold down the tab that says contact me. Oh good, there's a lot of fast learners here, so. And the team will get in touch with you after the holiday, fulfill your wishes. If you're online, you are not excused. There we go. Do you have your tabs? You can go online, and there's a chat for instructions on how to give. I want to give special thanks to recent sponsors, some of which you can see on the screen now. It's incredible. Beautiful. I'll leave you with this. My girlfriend and I are expecting a baby, God willing, in a few weeks. I'm 56, and I have 3 beautiful children. And I kind of thought I was done with that chapter of my life. Miracles happen. We Jews are people of miracles and hope, and Romemu fills me with hope. Thank you, and wishing you a Shana Tova, Gemar Hatima Tova. May this year be a year of health and fulfillment of your dreams. Now get to work. Thank you.
Anay machane עליי, תחנה עליי מחנה, לא יירא ליבי, אם תקומו עליי מלחמה, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, אם תקום עליי לא יירא, לא יירא, לא יירא, לא יירא, לא יירא, לא יירא, אם תקום We began a week ago a theme that will carry us through the year, a theme focused on what my friend Richard and his organization have claimed is the number one most important quality that consumers look for in a company. Not the quality of the product, not the loyalty out of love, but are they trustworthy? Companies. Do they walk their talk? The new brand equity in the world is trust. And so we're exploring trust, and the verses that we've been singing and chanting along with Ariel, whose beautiful melody has accompanied us throughout this week. Im takum alai machaneh lo yira libi. I'm not going to be afraid. Bezot, in this I trust. And we explored on Rosh Hashanah, Bezot, the one who stands before you might surprise you, leave room for a new story. Remember that one? Leave room for a new story. We talked a little bit about the shofar as that symphony of that possibility that after the broken notes and after the confusion, there might be another note that comes that's the strong note. Leave room for surprise. Leave room for a new story. And then we talked as well about trusting that we can hold those broken notes between two long tikiyot, two long powerful notes of the shofar. And so here we are tonight on Yom Kippur, and we have another bezot, another with this. In fact, this with this, in the tradition, that word again, can you say it with me? Bezot. 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 Bezot means with this. The entire Yom Kippur, the entire ritual of the Yom Kippur, from the beginning to the middle to the end, the entire thing in the Torah comes down to one verse in chapter 16 of the book of Leviticus that we'll look at tomorrow morning. Bezot yavo Aaron el HaKodesh. With this, Aaron enters into the holy, the Kodesh. In the context of the verses, it's a series of animals and sacrifices that become the rite during the temple period. I'd like to explore my own bezot with it. My own, maybe midrash, maybe expansion, maybe my own heart at this moment where we are today as a community, both locally and globally. We'll come back to this, I promise. But first, a word from our sponsor. Let's take a breath together, okay? And let's do this breath this way. Take a deep breath, everybody. Exhale. Nice. Now, before I ask you to take another one, I'm going to give you an instruction. I'm going to ask you not to take another one. I want you now, wherever you are, just exhale. And notice. Wait. Wait. Just notice if you can wait long enough before you have to inhale. Let's do it again. Okay. For some of you, that might have been a really easy exercise. For the vast majority of us, though, something kicks in at various stages of our exhalation cycle that interferes with a full exhalation, a full and complete emptying of the breath. We don't really empty our lungs before we fill them again. We really are not even aware of the subtle but powerful impulse that we have to override our body's natural pause at the end of each breath cycle. Intentionally and willfully, we curtail the natural pause that our evolutionary programming, the wisdom that we have, has given us. Every breath has a pause after you exhale. It waits and waits. And trusting that the breath will rise again of its own accord, we too wait. It makes sense that we wouldn't notice that pause. It makes sense for so many of us that we wouldn't necessarily trust that another breath is on the way. I get it. I do. Most of us never really learn the art of waiting, of delaying. Most of us wait to exhale. That's true. But we also don't wait to inhale. When I was a young man, I became heavily involved in a school of breathing. I know, a school of breathing, right? It wasn't a school that was rooted in the teachings of the East, of India or China, but rather the gymnasium movement in Germany. The name of that school was Carola Speeds, and she was a pioneering teacher of this approach. And unlike yogic breathing, which focused heavily on manipulating the breath, longer breaths or shorter breaths, you've heard people do that, like take a long breath, 4 count, then another 4 count when you exhale. She wasn't into any of that. Essentially, Speeds had a whole different approach. She basically said that there's no correct way to breathe. There's no right breath. There's no pranayama, chi breathing, none of that. She said, you already know how to breathe. You know how to breathe. Essentially, she argued that your respiratory system is an adaptive muscle. And what we do more often than not is we inhibit the natural breathing cycle of the body. We shouldn't replace shallow breathing, she said, with an ideal form of breathing, but by trusting our natural breathing to auto-adjust itself throughout our day. Essentially, she argued that we had to unlearn everything that we had learned about breathing. Well, I'll tell you something, one of the most advanced techniques that she had, after I'd already tapped my chest and done all kinds of straw exercises to limit the amount of breath that was coming out during an exhale, months and months of working with this teacher, there was one very advanced technique, and it was very simple. It involved waiting patiently at the end of each full exhalation for the body to naturally begin to inhale. This was an incredibly difficult exercise for me, and maybe for some of you before. You see, once I began to watch my breathing, I wanted to interfere with my breathing. The minute I brought awareness and attention to the breath as I exhaled, it was almost precisely that moment that I said, you know what, I better breathe. I'm gonna die. The urge to interfere is premature inhalation. Waiting for breath to return is a powerful example of how we push life and miss the powerful possibilities that pausing provides us. In many ways, the last 18 months have been part of a great global pause. Our economies have come to a grinding halt over that time. However, our inactivity led to much natural renewal. As the transmission of the coronavirus increased rapidly, the whole world adopted a lockdown, restricting us in our human mobility. The imposition of a quarantine stopped all of the commercial activity that greatly affects the various important environmental parameters which are directly connected to human health. As all the types of social, economic, industrial, and urbanization activities suddenly shut off, nature took advantage and showed improvement. The quality of our air, cleaner rivers, less noise pollution, undisturbed and calm wildlife. There were some who were so bold as to argue that the virus was the Earth's vaccination against we humans. In many ways, we stand here, poised and paused, for a return to life, a return to an inhale, and I worry. How will we bring our pauses forward? How will we wait long enough to inhale? Every 7th year, the Torah obligates ancient Israelites to observe a sabbatical year. It's called Shemitah. It's more than likely that few of you have ever heard of Shemitah. Kind of bad marketing. It kind of goes with a rag called a shmata. You don't really want to. But you've heard of a sabbatical. So Shemitah is a radical Jewish idea. It's a biblical commandment to imagine a better life. We're instructed to observe a sabbatical every 7 years so that the land, the workers, the social, the economic system have a chance to rest and to reset. In its simplest form, the Torah mandates that all lands be ownerless and wild during the entire year. Selling produce was prohibited. Private property was not private during that year. It was forbidden to work the land at all. All debts were forgiven. Everything reset. Everyone paused. And Shemitah is just one piece of a larger pausing portfolio, if you will. The Shemitah year is the analog in the year of what we are now in the 7th month of our calendar. This month is the Shemitah month. Like the 7th year, it invites us to pause. How many people have heard, when are we going back to school? Got to wait for another Jewish holiday. All of them are in this month. Every week, 52 times a year, Shemitah arrives as one day called the Sabbath, Shabbat. We pause. Pausing. This feature gives us an insight into what we might do as we pause forward. The feature of the biblical Shabbat in all of its flavors was decidedly counterculture. Shabbat in the Torah taught that humanity had the right to rest, that work without not work was slavery. Zecher L'Yitziat Mitzrayim, when we say the prayers on Friday night and Shabbat, Shabbat is not just about creation, but about justice. Work without not work is unhealthy, it's unnatural. It's a rebellion against the commodification of humanity, the never-ending search for more perfection, more progress, and more production. Every single pause, every little Shabbat, every time we wait to inhale, we are asserting our fundamental essence as not human doings, but human beings. Every pause is an expression of faith and trust that life that is stronger than you or me, my will or yours, will breathe us again. The human being's organism happens autonomously, the breathing function. It needs no effort or interference on our part. Pausing is needed and natural. When we override our basic, innate bodily intelligence, we hurriedly take in life new breathing, as if we can't wait to inhale because we can't get enough. Every pause is a rebellion. Every pause is a rebel with a pause. Thank you. Rest is resistance. Pausing is countercultural, and I don't just mean resting as in couch surfing on your parents' dime. I don't mean laziness or sloth. I don't mean learned helplessness and Peter Panning ourselves. I mean the kind of rest that takes courage, the kind of pause that gives us back our deep humanity, the kind of rest that requires faith and ultimately trust. Rabbi Arthur Waskow writes about Shabbat, what would have happened if God hadn't paused? What if God had become so joyful in the process of creating the 6 days that she continued straight on into a seventh and an eighth? He writes, an artist will tell you, if you're painting a picture, there comes a moment when that one more stroke will ruin it. You have to know when to stop, to catch your breath and be at peace with your painting. And then on another canvas, you can start over. But always in that rhythm, there must be a pause to the not doing. And if you will not stop to rest, he writes, the work will stop anyway, willy-nilly by ruination. If we refuse to rest, we will be forced to. How many people here in their lives were so busy working, so busy succeeding, so busy achieving, so busy running and running and running, until finally that which they couldn't run from caught up to them? How many of us resisted pausing until we had no choice? How many of us put off and had Corona with no silver linings or learnings? Had not Corona come along, we would not have stopped. Arthur Waskow says, Shabbat and Shemitah and this month every year invites us to stop and feel the presence of the sacred. He writes, Shabbat is the acceptance of mystery over mastery. Love that. Mystery over mastery. Mystery over mastery. Doesn't mean, of course, that we curse technology, work, production, consumption, or even accumulation. It means that all of those things are within the context of Shabbat. Something else happens when we rest and we stop our busyness. Stopping allows us to see what we've been glossing over. We get to experience the power that nature calls dormancy. Dormancy, that which is holding, the heartbeat that rests, the hibernating animals, all of the winter, waiting and waiting. Dormancy is pausing. I'll tell you, in the 14 years since I started this shul on my own with a little bit of help from my parents, on a little drum in a gym on 105th Street in Amsterdam, I neglected to take off more than 2 weeks in 14 years. Each and every one of my colleagues had already had multiple sabbaticals by the time I took off this past June. I had no idea what to do with myself for the first 2 weeks. With each and every passing moment, in the emptiness of not being a rabbi and not having phone calls to make and emails to respond to and sermons to think about and teachings to offer, I found myself, like the breathing exercise we did, yearning to inhale even work. The practice of pausing is a skill, it's an art form. There are seeds inside each and every one of us, inside this culture that can't emerge because we don't know that dormancy does not mean death. Resting doesn't mean disappearing. What keeps us from stopping is that we're terrified of resting. We're terrified of finding out the terrible things that we might feel if we stop. We fear that if we stop for even a moment, the sheer enormity of our lives will overwhelm us, our outspoken and unspoken fears. So like a stone being thrown over a lake, we learn to skip so that we don't get too wet. And we're terrified that if the stone would fall, we would disappear. We dance around that security. We dance around that insecurity. Can we slow down, pause, and wait so that we might stop the dance around the void? As someone once said, an avoid dance. Avoidance. When we pause, we reflect. When we pause, we see. When we pause, we rebel. And we become rebels with a pause. Sometimes Tara Brach, in her book Radical Acceptance, writes, sometimes through the art of pausing, we develop the capacity to stop hiding. We begin to trust in our natural intelligence. By pressing the pause button on life, we give ourselves the space to realign with our values and our visions. This pausing is remarkable. Not only is it holy, not only is it required, not only can it help us reorient ourselves towards the world that we are about to re-inhabit and re-inhale. But more fundamentally, pausing is at the heart of all change. It was the famous psychologist Viktor Frankl who wrote, between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. Even if you're not convinced that you need to take a sabbatical, even if you're not convinced that to keep Shabbat on some level this year will itself become a radical way for you to bring pausing forward. Even if you're not convinced that pausing in the Torah's understanding of Shemitah can act as a model for us in how we might re-understand our obligation to save our mother, the earth. Each and every one of us here on Yom Kippur can readily understand how pausing interacts with pattern breaking. How many people here wish they had paused before they pressed send? One time. How many people here wish they had paused before they reacted to the child who's screaming at 11 o'clock at night? Okay, that's me. Okay, wait a second. Sorry. My wife left. How many of us just yesterday would have wished that they could have held back something that came out? How many of us, when we think about the mistakes in our lives, wish we had 4 more seconds right over there? to not say that, to have said that, to not do that, to have done that. Becoming professional pausers is tantamount to be taking charge of transformation itself. In the book that Hermann Hesse wrote named Siddhartha, how many people read Siddhartha? And I had that book by my bed for years. There's a moment in Siddhartha's journey where the businessman, Kumaraswamy, says to him, "So Siddhartha, what is it that you have, Siddhartha?" And Siddhartha said three things. Do people remember? He said, "I can think, I can fast, and I can wait." He had the ability to delay gratification. He had the ability to press pause on his life and on his decision-making process. He had the ability to take reflection as itself the hallmark of self-discipline. He knew how to wait before inhaling. He knew how to be a rebel with a pause. We began with Yom Kippur, and Bezot Yavo Aron El HaKodesh. With this, Aaron will enter the Holy. Yom Kippur is called Shabbat Shabbaton. It is the Sabbath of Sabbaths. It is the Uber Sabbath. It is the Shabbat. It's the day that has all of the Shabbat energy within it. It's the ultimate pause on life. Coming here wearing shrouds, thinking about our mortality. It's 24 hours of stopping, dropping, breathing. So what will you see today? What will you feel today? What will you touch? What will you remember? And what will it inspire in you as we, in your heart and mind, in the coming year, to develop the skills that might allow you that space between stimulus and response? Will you, like Aaron, tomorrow morning enter into the Holy of Holies with the pause needed to metabolize our experience before lifting another fork to our mouths for one more bite? Where will all the grief go if we don't pause to hold it? Where will all the sadness and the disappointment go if we don't make space and room in our lives to feel it? Where will it be? We stand on the precipice, friends. We stand on the precipice of a moment that might never come again. We hope it won't. But woe to us if we don't take from these last 18 months of pausing a way that we might transform our lives and learn how to wait before we inhale, to pause before we speak, to hold on a bit before we react, and to stop for a minute each and every day to appreciate what it is that is right here in front of us. I'm certainly a fan of this beautiful chant. And I wonder if, as we chant it now, slowly and then building together, each and every one of you might say something inwardly about a promise to pause. A promise to pause. If all things are surrounding us and assailing us, if life is moving at 3-4 times the speed, if on a day when we're told to fast, we might slow down, what might we become aware of? What might we bring into our lives that will say, with this pausing, I trust life again? Bezot Ani boteach. So let's exhale completely. And wait. Please rise.
תחנה עלי מחנה, לא יירא ליבי, אם תקום עלי מלחמה, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, אם תקום עלי, אם
עלי מחנה, לא יירא ליבי, אם תקום עלי מלחמה, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, אם תקום עלי, אם תחנה עלי מחנה, לא יירא ליבי, עלי מלחמה, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, בזאת אני בוטח, אם תקום לא יירא, 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 אם תקום You may be seated. On page 80, I invite all of those who are in mourning for a loved one to please rise. The mourner's Kaddish can be found as well on the screen behind me, to the left of me, and in your screen in the Zoom Agog. We lift up the names of all of those who are being remembered, too many to enumerate at this moment, but all of them sacred souls who are bound in the bond of life. If it is your custom to stand with the mourners, please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. V'agala u'v'yizman kariv imeru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach v'alam imei amaya. Yidbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitallah shmei dekudsha brichfu. Le'ela u'le'ela min kol brichata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran v'alma v'yemiru. Amen. Yehei shlom barabah min shmaya v'chayim tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom b'mromav. U'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol yoshevei tevel. And let us say,
Amen.
I invite you to please rise to join the mourners who were standing. May all of those who are remembered be a blessing. Slide 25 behind us will have this chant, Achat Sha'alti Me'et Adonai, again taken from Psalm 27. Page 81. As we remain standing for some of these announcements, so much learning is happening in the coming year. The yeshiva is in full swing. There'll be a daily meditation set starting online on October 6th in the afternoons. Thanks to my Hasidic masters, people for pushing for that. We have the adult learning. So many different courses are available. Our amazing open house for the Romemu Seekers Holistic School. You can have students from all over the country now, so let them know. And of course, Sukkot and Simchat Torah are happening tomorrow morning at 8:30. Our services begin. There'll be a walking meditation at 3, a trust meditation and chanting at 3 on Zoom. And then, of course, we'll finish together Mincha and the Ilah. Thank you to all of these incredible folks here tonight, especially to this davening team and to this staff and the clergy of Romemu, remarkable people, all of you. We are indebted to all of those who are on site upstairs and behind the scenes as well. Thank you to all of you. And we finish tonight's service, of course, with a song that is a Ladino prayer that Ariel put to music that we sang a number of years ago. So please join us if you can see it online.
Del
Good Yantiv, everyone. Good Yantiv.